My husband and I have been married for going on 6 years. We have 2 kids, a 2 and 4-year-old. And my question is, how do I handle and move forward after losing respect for my husband? Or am I being too prideful in wanting us to be self-sufficient as a couple?
Ooh, man, that's a good one. How old are y'all?
We're 36.
Okay, 36. Man, y'all have had a busy 6 years, huh?
Yeah. I mean, we only dated 3 months before we got engaged. So things kind of moved quickly. Within a year after we got married we had our first kid. So, and then it was right in the middle of 2020. So you add all that back onto it as well. So yeah, we're, just right in the midst of it all.
Dude, you guys are in a relationship now that's like, yeah, we can figure this out. We figured out a global shutdown and a worldwide pandemic and a pregnancy in a 3-month, we'll figure something out. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So how is his parents still over involved?
So they have kind of pulled back a lot. I think because, just full transparency, I have been a lot more closed off towards them just because of the past 6 years, things that have happened. But basically, just the reason for my call is the financial aspect. They've bailed us out of several financial situations dating back to, like I said, 5-6 years ago. And I just felt like he and I should have at least talked about these situations and then worked through them together.
Absolutely, yes. So he called his mommy and said, "Mommy, I need some money for me and my new wife."
Well, mostly it was, I think it was more his dad just kind of jumping in and saying, "Hey, we got this. Don't worry about it." And he has a really hard time, backing his parents off, to say the least.
Okay, what? What did they, did they reach in 2020, they found out their son's married, oh gosh, suddenly they're pregnant, they're having a baby, it's 2020, hey guys, I'm going to cover your rent for 6 months. Is that what happened?
Not necessarily rent, but I do think that's kind of the context. And when it's been brought up, they're like, well, we just wanted to help you and we just love giving, we want to give you a gift and we don't want you to worry about it. So the first big thing I'll kind of dive into is, when our daughter was about 6 months old, it was April 2021, so kind of getting through everything. We were going to move out of our apartment, found a rental home, and his parents just jumped in, and it was never a conversation that was had with me. It was just his dad and him, and they paid for the entire move, the rental truck, the movers, and everything. And I've moved a lot in my life, and I was excited for the move, and I was like, hey, great, now he and I can come together and figure out the logistics of everything. So I was I felt a little let down that I wasn't even involved in that conversation.
So how did that conversation go? When you found out, hey, no, I just hired movers, and my dad said he wants to cover the movers for us to move. We got a new baby, it's 2021. Dad's got everything covered. What was the next conversation?
It was pretty much just an argument of how I should accept the gift. I should be grateful for it. And yeah, that was kind of it. It was just, and then that was it.
So
there was no
are there strings to this money?
Well, that's kind of how I feel sometimes. I do feel
let's this is obnoxious for me to say it this way, so I'm being ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, let's move your feelings to the side.
Okay.
What's the data say? What's the reality here? Do they give you money and then they say, no, we have Thanksgiving on this day, you'll be here?
No, they don't do that.
Okay. So yeah. Besides the feeling part, how do they lord over you? Do they still pay y'all's cell phone bill and they go through your phone calls?
Well, so his parents do pay his cell phone bill and his car insurance still.
Oh, good Lord.
And I mean, I have more examples. So I don't really feel like they hold it over us necessarily forthcomingly. They're not saying hey, we paid for this, we want you to do this. There have been a couple times where, I don't know, his parents bought a high chair and a walker for our baby. And they were like, well, you never even said thank you. And so.
But why didn't you say thank you?
Well, that's a whole other story, but I did say thank you, but I was in the midst of postpartum depression and anxiety, and I was anxious about everything. And they bought our child one of those walkers, and I had told his mom oh, I don't want to use those, they scare me. And then they went out and bought one anyway, and then they were mad at me for not being grateful for it. So it just, yeah, like, so.
Tell me about for you growing up. You said you moved a whole bunch. Did you move because you had to a lot?
Yeah, so my dad's job, he worked for a company that like worked on resorts and theme parks and just like did outlandish like waterfalls and rock work and everything. So we moved, like I said, up from 0 to about 8, 10, and then we were pretty consistent from 10 when I was 10 on. But yeah, we moved a lot just because my dad was the sole income provider for the home. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I had 3 brothers. So there were times where money was very tight. But I saw my parents like work together to overcome so many obstacles.
Sure. So forget the money part of it, but you have a spirit inside of you that is awesome and strong. But it's also, I will freaking do this myself. Where does that come from? I'm asking a double-edged question. One, that's exactly how my daughter is, and so I just kind of want to know where that's coming from. But also, where does that come from? Was that survival because you had 3 older brothers? Was that because you had to do a new school every year from 0 to 10 years old? Like, was it college? Did you have somebody hurt you when you were like, where does that no, I'm doing this? Or maybe you just shot out of the cannon that way like my daughter was.
So a little bit of both, I think. Like with my family, I was very much like, with my brothers too, I was kind of the one that was always bossing them around, so to speak. I had 1 older and 2 younger, so I was kind of in that middle. So I had no problem within my family to be like that strong, like this is what I'm going to do. I want to do it my way. And my daughter is very much that way as well. So I'm getting a little bit of taste of my own medicine. But I think like when I was away from my home, sorry, I'm getting emotional because it is something that affects me, but I just feel like I had so many critics. I played sports growing up, and I just had softball coaches that would, I feel like, try to tear me down. I wasn't very vocal. I was pretty quiet and shy. And I just feel like I had so many people telling me, like, I guess I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And then I didn't feel good enough. And it's funny because even his mom has told me, like, I'm a very strong person, but it's taken years to get to this point. And now I feel like since we have kids, I feel like I often have to be their voice and be that strength that I know they're going to need someday.
And can I tell you something crazy? And I'm telling you this because I love you, okay?
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you.
How old are your kids?
2 and 4.
Okay. When we over voice for our kids, now our kids need us. They need us to be sturdy, as Dr. Kennedy says. We need to be plugged in, anchored in.
Yeah.
And I will burn your village to the ground if you hurt my daughter.
Yeah.
Right? Make no mistake. But our kids pick up really fast every time a parent becomes their voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that meta message, and this is a crazy thing that happens, okay? You are not alone in this. This is the pot talking to the kettle here. But in a wild way, you recreate your softball coaches with, hey, you're not enough, I'll do this for you. You're not enough, I'll speak for you. You just sit there and be quiet, I'm going to do it for you because you're not enough. And you may have got that message explicitly, and in an effort to shift and change it, it gets passed along implicitly.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I want to just put this out there, okay? Because I'm thinking, let's say I knew all of that about you. And I was a brand new husband trying to navigate what in the world is happening with a pandemic and a new baby and whatever. I can imagine saying, dude, I am taking all the postpartum, I'm going to take all that stress away.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad pulled me aside and said, hey, we've been blessed. We've got stuff figured up. Anything you need, you let me know. And he's like, Dad, can you help with the move? And he's like, gotcha. Yeah. And I can imagine your husband coming home with a smile 9 feet wide, being like, got it. And then all of a sudden, your inside says, once again, Rachel can't do it on her own. Once again, someone's telling Rachel, I don't want your voice. I don't care. You're not enough. And here we go again. And it just becomes a matter. I say this so often, and it sounds trite, but I'm serious. It's a matter of pictures and words. When you both said the words, hey, we're moving on Saturday, he had a picture in his head. I'm going to be the best husband ever. I know a guy that wants to help out with anything.
Yeah.
And you said, this is a way we're going to build a forever marriage by working hard together and sweating. And I'm still a little bit postpartum. I need to get out and move and do something. And all of a sudden, y'all flew past each other, both trying to love each other the best you could.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
And I know that's not line for line. And there comes a moment when, bro, you got to pay your own cell phone bill. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
I feel silly. Your mommy's still paying your bills.
Yeah.
Right? So, but you see how it's both and?
Yeah,
and
I do.
There are, it has been one of my life's journeys to learn to say, I accept this, or thank you. It's very hard for me.
Yeah.
And also, like there's a grown-up part. Like I'm also want to be an adult too.
Yeah.
You're not going to pay for my cell phone and my car insurance. Good God almighty. Right? Unless it's like, dude, I get it for free. This would be dumb for you not to take it. And the modern world with all the digital is just silly. Right? But I think it comes back to y'all sitting down and saying, hey, here's my picture of what this looks like. What's yours? And also, be very honest with, I think your parents are trying to buy our influence, their influence in our lives. I don't like it. Or, actually, when your mom brings toys for my baby, it makes me feel less than.
Yeah.
And I don't know
and
what I don't know what's true. Yeah, go ahead. I don't know if any of that is true. I don't know. I just imagine how hard I tried being a new dad and how many times I got it so wrong, trying the hardest I could to love my wife.
And I do think that's a huge piece of it. I mean, we were both just those new parents, again, middle of pandemic, not sure what to do. We have had multiple conversations, he and I, about the pictures we have, I guess, or more so the picture I had for our marriage, our family, our life. I've talked about how I feel like his parents have overstepped boundaries sometimes, but it's always, for lack of a better term, like my fault. It's there isn't a whole lot of like, well, let's talk about that. Why do you feel that way? It's usually an immediate, no, you're wrong. They just want to help. They love us. And, you know, it's gotten a lot better. Like I said, I still have, I know there's been other things, but his parents will give gifts and things. And I just have learned to accept it, to be grateful for it, to thank them for it. But it's more of the bigger piece is some of the not bigger, but like financial situations. He's like allowing them to continue to cover and pay for. And it just makes me lose respect for him as, you know, quote unquote, the man of the house. I look at him at, you know, he's a husband, he's a father, and he's willing to pass off these financial duties to his parents whenever they are, you know, they offer.
Well, and I think maybe the bigger pictures and words conversation is, hey, we've been married for 6 years. We've got 2 amazing kids. I've brought my struggles here. You've brought your struggles here. I want you to tell me, what's your picture of a wife?
Yeah.
What is it? What's a picture of a wife? What's a picture of a mother that's in your mind? And then you get a shot like, here's my picture of what a husband does. Here's my picture of what a husband, because my guess is this money is like a big glaring thing and it's an easy thing to point at.
Yeah.
But my guess is you lose respect for him in other places.
Yeah.
And what I
No, there's
I often see happen is mother-in-laws become, yes, they can be intrusive, and yes, they can become overly whatever. Or father-in-law's like, I'm gonna pay for everything, and they can like, do this at our house. We need to struggle through some things so that stop coming into the weight room and taking the weight off the bar. Our marriage has to go through some hard times so that it can have the strength down the road. But often they become like an easy thing to point fingers at when actually I lose respect for you because of the way you treat the waitress. I lose respect for you because you don't open the door for me. I lose respect for you because you sit on the couch and play video games and have 4 beers every night while I'm trying to bathe the kids and get them in bed. And this general loss of respect is a much bigger cloud hanging over our home than just, hey, you keep letting your mom pay your cell phone bill and you keep letting your mom pay for our vacations. I want us to save up and struggle and pay for stuff ourselves. And so I think the pictures and words is a bigger conversation about, hey, I'm losing respect with you as a man, as my husband. Here's my picture of what a husband is inside and outside of the financial transaction stuff. And I think that's the place to have the conversation. And that's a scarier conversation to have because it peels back a ton more layers. But here's my promise. If you keep just pecking and pecking and pecking and pecking at them, mom and dad will back all the way off. And you're still going to have that respect issue with your husband that you got to deal with. So let's just go straight there and deal with that. Let's just lay that one bare on the table. And if you need a professional to walk with you, do that. But let's start there with that conversation. And then some of this might be humbling for you. Some of it might be, dude, I got to learn to just smile and say thank you for the gift. If it's something that completely violates your values, like food or safety for your kids, whatever, absolutely, I'm not just going to cave on that. But sometimes it's, you sent another set of clothes, great. You sent another whatever, great. You bought us a car, oh, okay. Sometimes you just say, okay, I wouldn't have done it that way, but I'm just going to be grateful. And other times, you exhale and have the bigger, harder conversation, which is, husband, I'm struggling with my respect for you on all these different fronts. It's a scarier, bigger conversation, but I think it's well worth having. And like I said at the beginning of the call, y'all been through a lot. My guess is if y'all both choose to, y'all can get through anything. Y'all are very, very strong.